"No smoking in school," the new teacher shouts as he throws the basketball at the tout. Then, the fight begins. These guys are here for one mission, to take their revenge on the teacher. The shocking truth is that nobody knows the teacher is a Kung Fu master. But what revenge is that? Here is how it all started. Henry pushes open the classroom door and freezes. His heart sinks. Smoke fills the air from a portable stove where 3 students are boiling ramen noodles like they're camping in the wilderness. A girl with short hair lounges on a desk, feet up, scrolling through her phone while pop music blasts from a speaker. In the corner, 2 boys are locked in an intense video game battle, cursing at each other. Someone's singing off-key with a ukulele. Others are just sleeping, sprawled across desks like they own the place. Henry stands at the door, his military training screaming at him to restore order. But his teaching instincts tell him something different. These kids don't respond to authority. They've learned to ignore it. He clears his throat. Nothing. He claps his hands. Still nothing. He tries speaking louder, projecting his voice like a drill sergeant. The students don't even glance his way. They've perfected the art of pretending adults don't exist. What would you do if 30 teenagers completely ignored you? Most teachers would explode. Most would start yelling, threatening detention, calling parents. But Henry's been trained for worse chaos than this. He walks calmly to the ramen crew and leans over their portable stove. The students finally look up, annoyed that someone's blocking their view. Henry studies their noodles and speaks casually, like he's just another student. He tells them they should eat less ramen because all that sodium will destroy their kidneys before they turn 30. The ramen kids blink. They weren't expecting that. Henry moves to the ukulele player, a tall kid with messy hair named Zuffa. Instead of confiscating the instrument, Henry picks it up, adjusts the tuning, and hands it back. He shows Zuffa a better chord progression. The kid's mouth falls open slightly. Next, Henry approaches the gamers. He doesn't shut off their console. Instead, he warns them about the radiation damage from staring at screens all day, mentions how it'll ruin their vision, gives them specific statistics about eye strain. The gamers pause mid-match, actually listening. Slowly, the classroom noise dims. Students start watching this strange new teacher who isn't acting like a teacher at all. Henry finally introduces himself. He walks to the board and writes his name in terrible handwriting, along with his phone number. The class erupts in laughter. His handwriting looks like a 5-year-old wrote it. Before he can continue, his phone rings. He answers. A voice on the other end tells him to get out of the classroom. Henry glances around and realizes someone in this class is calling him right now, testing him. He laughs, then hangs up. The students go back to ignoring him, thinking they've won, but Henry's military mind has been calculating. He picks up a piece of chalk and a rubber band from the teacher's desk. In one smooth motion, faster than any of them can process, he launches the chalk upward using the rubber band like a slingshot. The chalk hits the sprinkler's sensor. Water explodes from the ceiling. Chaos erupts as students scream and scramble away from the downpour, grabbing their phones, their ramen, their gaming consoles. They're shouting, drenched and angry. In the midst of this, he smiles broadly and says, "Welcome to my class." For the first time in years, these students realize they've met someone who won't play by the rules they've set, someone who's just as stubborn as they are. And he won in the first round of the battle between the teacher and students. Like the video and subscribe before you find out what happens next. There is a twist coming up later in the video. Few people miss it. Don't be among them. What happens in the next scenes will make you rethink everything you know about teaching. Subscribe now. Coming up later in the video. Anger and humiliation burn through Jack's chest as he slams the sports supply room door behind him. 4 other students follow, his only real friends in this prison they call a school. This storage room has become their sanctuary, a place where nobody judges them for being the bottom 5 students in the entire school, where they can smoke, complain, and pretend their lives don't completely suck. Jack pulls out his phone and stares at a photo he secretly took. It's her, the straight-A student from class 3A, perfect grades, perfect hair, perfect everything. His friends catch him looking and immediately start teasing him. They're laughing, asking when he'll finally talk to her. Jack's about to defend himself when the door bursts open. But wait, the hints given in the next few minutes will be needed later in the video to solve a mystery most people can't solve. So watch closely, because if you don't see it, then you'll miss it. 5 basketball players swagger in, designer sneakers squeaking on the floor. The team captain, a kid whose dad owns half the city, smirks at Jack. He makes a comment about how poverty must smell, how Jack probably can't even afford deodorant. The other players laugh like it's the funniest joke they've ever heard. Jack's fists clench. His friends hold him back. They know fighting the rich kids means automatic expulsion. The basketball team owns this school through their parents' donations. The rich kids leave, still laughing, but the humiliation stays, burning in Jack's stomach like acid. Later, Jack and his group watch the basketball team practice on the court. Their movements are lazy, arrogant. They don't even try hard because they know their futures are already secured by their parents' money. Meanwhile, Jack has to work 3 part-time jobs just to afford school supplies. Something snaps inside him. He accidentally drops a water bottle onto the court. It rolls directly into the captain's path mid-dribble. The captain trips, crashes hard onto the polished floor. His teammates rush to help him up. Jack and his friends burst out laughing from the bleachers. Miss Leon, the uptight English teacher, assigns all 5 of them detention. They try to argue, but she's not listening. She never listens to students like them. But Jack's crew didn't survive this long without learning a few tricks. While Miss Leon sits at her desk grading papers, they play a stupid prank on her just to avoid detention. The 5 students sprint out of the room before she can even process what happened. Hit the like button if you think they did the right thing. Meanwhile, the school's principal is furious. With him are officials from the education board, inspecting everything. The board is threatening to cut 20% of the school's funding. The officials inspect the school, taking notes of how the funds are being used. At the same time, dread fills the classroom as students hear footsteps approaching. They've spent the last hour setting up the perfect prank. A massive bucket of water balanced above the door. When Henry walks in, he'll get drenched. Payback for the sprinkler incident. Then, the door swings open. Henry's hand shoots up faster than anyone can blink. He hits the bucket mid-fall and redirects it. The students sit frozen, shocked. His reflexes are inhuman. Henry doesn't mention the prank. Instead, he asks Jack to hand his cigarette over to him, knowing Jack smokes. Reluctantly, Jack tosses the pack to Henry. Everyone leans forward. Teachers usually confiscate cigarettes and drag students to the principal's office. That's how this always goes. But Henry doesn't do that. He turns to Zuffa and asks him to name 3 ingredients in cigarettes. Zuffa answers correctly: nicotine, tar, and carbon monoxide. Henry nods, impressed, and tells Zuffa he can skip class for the day as a reward. The classroom explodes. Everyone starts banging on their desks, shouting that they should get to skip class too. When silence finally returns, he hands every single student a cigarette from Jack's pack. Confusion spreads across their faces. What kind of teacher gives students cigarettes? Henry explains that he won't lecture them about health risks because they've heard it 1,000 times and clearly don't care. Instead, he wants them to analyze what they're putting in their bodies. He asks them what happens when they smoke. What does tar actually do to lungs? One girl raises her hand. She says tar is sticky. It coats the inside of your lungs like paint. Over time, it hardens, makes breathing difficult. Henry confirms this. He explains how their lungs slowly turn black, how oxygen struggles to enter their bloodstream, how their athletic performance drops, how they'll get winded just climbing stairs. For the first time, students actually listen, not because Henry's preaching, but because he's treating them like adults capable of making informed decisions. When the bell rings, Henry asks them to return the cigarettes. Every single student, even the rebellious ones, hands them back. Some look annoyed, others look thoughtful, but they all comply. Henry has done something no other teacher has managed. He's made them think without forcing them. For me, this is the best way to teach stubborn students. Like the video if you agree with me. That afternoon in the cafeteria, the basketball captain deliberately sticks his leg out. Bruce, one of Jack's friends, trips and crashes into a table, spilling food everywhere. The cafeteria goes silent. Bruce stands up, fury in his eyes. He asks the captain if he thinks he's funny. The captain smirks and says maybe Bruce should watch where he's going. Then they fight. Minutes later, Henry is told that 5 students from his class started the fight and have been temporarily suspended. He finds Jack in the hallway, still fighting his opponent. Henry steps between them, grabs both by their shoulders, and forces them apart. He tells Jack to calm down. Jack yells that the school is unfair, that rich kids never face consequences, that teachers only punish students like him because they're easy targets. Henry doesn't argue, because Jack's right. That night, Henry sits alone in the teacher's lounge with 5 student files spread across the table. If he's going to help these kids, he needs to understand them. Zuffa's file reveals he's the son of a Pakistani immigrant. He's been accused of theft multiple times by neighborhood police even though he's never stolen anything. His dream is to become a musician, but nobody takes him seriously. Danan's file breaks Henry's heart. Her father wanted a son so badly that he's treated her like a disappointment her entire life. She cut her hair short, played with cars, tried to act like a boy just to earn his approval. It never worked. Bruce and Chris's file explains everything. Their mother abandoned them when they were young. Their father drowned his grief in alcohol. The brothers raised themselves. Bruce escaped into video games to escape reality. Chris, on the other hand, worked grueling hours at a grocery store to keep food on the table. Jack's file is almost empty. No family information, no emergency contact. Just a blank space where a support system should be. If you want to see what happens when a teacher stops following the rules, you need to see what comes next. It takes less than 1 second and literally nothing to hit the subscribe button. Terror strikes when Jack walks into the restaurant for his shift and sees Jenny Ng, a notorious MMA fighter and illegal betting boss. The man's gold watch gleams under the dim lights. His expensive lighter sits carelessly on the table. Jack can't help himself. While pouring water, he swipes the lighter and slips it into his pocket. But Jennying notices immediately. His cold eyes lock onto Jack. He signals his men. They drag Jack and beat him brutally. Fists slam into his ribs. Jennying checks Jack's student ID and discovers he's from Tachi Secondary. Instead of calling the police, Jennying smirks. He gives Jack some cash and offers him a job delivering food for his illegal operations. Jack takes the money. He has no choice. Meanwhile, Henry finds Zuffa being chased by his father and neighbors. They're screaming that Zuffa stole a concert ticket. Henry stops the chase and learns the truth. Zuffa didn't steal it. He bought it with money he saved for months. Henry takes Zuffa's side. He proves the purchase receipt is real. To encourage Zuffa, that night on a bridge, Henry joins a band and starts singing terribly off-key. Zuffa watches, inspired. He grabs his ukulele and joins in. His voice is shaky at first, but then it grows stronger. For the first time since being bullied years ago, Zuffa performs publicly without shame. Elsewhere, Bruce and Chris's alcoholic father stumbles home and demands they buy him beer. When they refuse, he screams at them to get out. The brothers pack their bags, ready to leave forever. But Henry arrives the next morning. He sits with their father and he asks the man a simple question. Does he want his sons to remember him as the drunk who threw them away, or as the father who fought to get better? The man breaks down crying. Henry drives him to a rehabilitation center that same day. Danan's father brings her makeup products and tells her to stop pretending to be a boy. Rage explodes inside Danan. She puts the makeup on her younger brother and steals his car keys, ready to drive away and never return. On the way, Henry stops her. He tells her driving without a license will land her in jail, but he knows another way she can prove herself. He takes her to a go-kart track and invites her father. Father and daughter race like their lives depend on it. Neither gives an inch. They crash through barriers, spin out, keep pushing. Suddenly, Danan's cart is hit by another vehicle. It flips. Her father screams. He jumps out of his cart and runs to the wreckage, crying, calling her name. He's convinced she's dead, but Danan crawls out, bruised but alive. She sees her father's tears and realizes the truth. He's always loved her. He just didn't know how to show it. They embrace, both crying. Days later, Bruce, Chris, and their classmates visit the rehab center to interview a recovering alcoholic. When they enter the room, they freeze. The man they're interviewing is their father. When asked why he started drinking, he explains that his wife left him when he needed her most. He admits he forgot he had 2 children who needed him. He doesn't reveal that Chris and Bruce are his children, but apologizes directly to them without saying their names. The brothers leave the center in tears. Everything seems to be improving, until Jack gets deeper into Jennying's world. He's ordered to drug a fighter's drink before a major match. Jennying has bet against his own sponsored fighter and will make millions if the man loses. Jack hesitates. This crosses a line he's never crossed before. But Jennying's men threaten. On the day of the fight, Jack poisons the drink. A security guard catches him. Before Jack can explain that Jennying forced him, he's beaten up and locked inside a locker. Henry arrives at the fight venue looking for Jack. The security team tells him to leave. That's when Henry hears Jack's muffled screams from inside the locker. Henry's military instincts activate. He attacks the guards with brutal efficiency. They try to overwhelm him with numbers, but Henry moves like he's still on a battlefield. The facility's best fighter steps forward to stop Henry. The fighter is skilled, but Henry's training is on another level. Within minutes, the professional fighter is unconscious on the floor. Later, Henry is at the hospital getting treatment for his wounds. Jack exposes Jennying, but people shut him up. The incident makes national news. Teacher defeats professional fighter to save student becomes the headline. Henry's face is everywhere. Students who once ignored him now greet him with respect. They stand when he enters the classroom. A flashback shows Henry as a prankster when he was in school. He threw water balloons at a student playing piano for parents at an event. He broke the student's hands and was suspended, after which he had to fly out to America for his military training, living with regrets ever after. But Bruce is struggling. He's become addicted to pills. His way of escaping pain, just like his father used alcohol. When he fails a practice exam badly, Henry promises to help. But Bruce's addiction deepens. He feels worthless, broken, unfixable. One day, Bruce climbs onto his balcony and jumps. He survives, but falls into a coma. The media twists the story, blaming the school and Henry for Bruce's suicide attempt. The education board revokes Henry's teaching license immediately. When Henry packs his belongings and leaves the school, his students chase after him, begging him to stay, but he doesn't look back. They know they need to prove to everyone that they're capable of greatness. The college entrance exam is coming. If they ace it, they'll prove the board wrong. The students study harder than they've ever studied in their lives. On exam day, Jack and his classmates receive a text from Henry asking them to meet at school early. When they arrive, Jennying's men lock all the doors, trapping them inside. Jennying appears. He's making sure these students miss the exam. His revenge against Henry. Henry arrives and finds his students trapped. He frees the students and fights through Jennying's entire crew, taking brutal hits but never stopping. They sprint toward the exam hall while Henry faces Jennying alone. Jennying reveals the truth. He's the student Henry bullied years ago. The one Henry threw water balloons at during a piano performance. The one whose hand Henry broke. Because of that injury, Jennying never competed in the national music competition. His dream of becoming a pianist died that day. Henry's face goes pale. He remembers. The guilt he's carried for years suddenly has a face. They fight viciously. Jennying's MMA skills versus Henry's military training. At one point, they both grab for a knife. Henry gets it first. He holds the blade to Jennying's throat, one movement away from ending this. But he doesn't. He drops the knife and apologizes. He tells Jennying that he was a stupid, cruel kid who destroyed someone's dream for no reason. Henry walks away, leaving Jennying alive. The students reach the exam hall with seconds to spare. They complete the test, pouring everything they've learned into their answers. Weeks later, results arrive. Every single one of Henry's students passes with exceptional scores. Jack even earns high enough marks to attend university. The education board is forced to admit they were wrong. They not only reinstate Henry but give the school a 20% funding bonus because of the student's incredible performance. Jennying sits at a piano for the first time in years. His fingers are rusty. Bruce wakes from his coma. He's weak but determined to take next year's exam. Henry returns to teaching. He walks into a new classroom filled with chaotic students. They're cooking ramen, playing games, completely ignoring him. Henry smiles. He picks up chalk and a rubber band. The fire sprinkler activates. Water rains down. The students scream and scatter. But they're all looking at him now. And Henry knows exactly what to do next. Let us know in the comments if you've ever had a teacher who changed your life. If you made it here, then it is a sign that you are destined for this. Subscribe to the channel now so that you won't be the only one missing out on other interesting stories like this. Thanks for watching.